Yes, sir. Effie Stephanidis, it's Rowan from Silver Tiger Media. Come and spare.
Oh, very good. Well done, Rowan. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm excellent, thank you. How wonderful it is for me to speak to you, isn't it?
Oh, it's a pleasure both ways.
Oh, lovely. Look, how embarrassment, really, because I don't want to sound like a suck or... Look, I certainly don't want to sound like a malacca for that matter, but it's such a privilege to speak with you. You're such a beloved icon, a treasured Australian character. Thank you so much.
Oh, I love it. I love your attempts at Greek, and might I say your pronunciation is exceptional.
Oh, thank you very kindly. How is your wonderful hair today? I must ask right from the outset.
Oh, large. You know the saying, the higher the hair, the closer to God. Well, yeah, I already had I've been Wi-Fi with God from the minute I came out into this beautiful world, and this is just proof of my connection to that force.
Without a doubt, and may I say, how effing nice.
Oh, you are beyond cute, you know that?
Oh, thank you. Now, I agree with the desperation that comes with marriage. I absolutely agree with you there. But I must admit that I'm personally very sad that you're to become wed to another. I mean, 1989, I saw your first shows, and I've adored you ever since. But I'm a skippy and not rich.
Well, look, the skippy is not the biggest issue. You know, culture is one thing, the cash is another. Rich is important to me because I have my own money and I don't like to spend it. I prefer to spend somebody else's. You know, it feels better for me, it feels more, more right. So I've fallen in love with a skipper, as you know, someone that I've known most of my life. We went to school together. But his skippy buddy's loaded, and those two things are as much as, as I can say, they're the two of the most important factors.
And do you think that the Dwayne is significant advertising of how much rich we're talking about?
Well, listen, you know what? He's got cash flow, and I think when you talk about rich, there's a lot of people out there that are asset rich, but they don't have the income coming in every day. And there's a lot to be said for, the cash flow. Us Greeks, yes, we do have a lot of assets. We primarily like to invest in real estate. We don't like the speculative stuff, but we do like that cash register ringing on a regular basis.
Indeed, and traditionally haven't worried too much with watering of front lawns lest they be concrete.
Exactly. We like to have a practical way of looking at things. In concrete, you just wash it down, hose it down and Bob's your uncle, or Vasily's your uncle in this particular case.
Look, Vasily is your uncle. Now, look, I'm getting worried about Vasily. There's a lot of, how can I put it without being crass, a lot of front of trouser checking going on there, and he seems to be a serial misogynist.
He is, and that that front of trouser checking, that's a stock take. It's important. Most guys do it a lot. They like to fiddle down there because they want to make sure it's all still there as it should be, because it's their biggest asset. For a lot of men, they do think that what's in their pants is their greatest asset and their closest relationship. Their best friend, an extension of themselves. A physicalisation of the fanciful them. And they check it down there. It's a nervous habit, and they like to know, okay, it's all there, and then, oh, no, it's still there. So Vasily's like that. And look, he's a passionate man, no doubt. He's not an attractive man by any stretch, but that doesn't stop him. He's very charismatic, and he's very proactive.
I think proactive is a nice way of putting it, absolutely. But
you know what? He's got the have a go, you mate, thing. He's the Greeks are very forthcoming. They're not afraid to get, to hit on ladies, and and in some ways you'd be offended if someone didn't hit on you if you're a Greek lady, because you go, well, what's wrong with me?
Well,
but
exactly.
Greek women are very strong in the Greek culture, and so we end up, I say we wear the pants and wash and iron them too,
Oh, how beautifully put. Look, speaking of downstairs, just briefly, I won't trouble you with the state of the downstairs Daintree. I don't need to discuss that, but how tremendous that you are coming to see us all again on the encore tour of Effie, the Virgin Bride.
Yes. Well, you know what? I did this show last year, and it was magnificent and epic. And these days, with the way tours happen, is that we do bigger theatres for shorter runs. So what ends up happening is a lot of people don't get to hear from other people, oh, my God, that's what you have to go and see it, because it's on and then it's off. Because, you do 1,600 people a night and you do, a couple of weekends, and that word of mouth. So there were a lot of people that were spewing because they didn't get to see it. Because, there's a lot of people out there publicising shows, and I'm just one of them, but they didn't realise that this was the show that they couldn't miss. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to be Greek. You don't have to be Lebanese. You don't have to be Asian. You don't have to be Skip. You can be anything. You can be straight. You can be gay. This is the show for anyone that has grown up in Australia, that anyone that's felt marginalised for whatever reason, anyone that's come out of the closet of whatever kept them in there, this is that show. It is hilarious. I always say to people, bring your car keys, bring your wallet, but most of all, bring a poise to pop down there, because you will be laughing your pants off. Oh, and and it is the funniest thing I've ever done, and the most poignant. And it's a one-woman show, so it's you get it all there, and it's a wedding. So what more can I give? There's nothing left by the end of this show. I've given everything.
You would be thoroughly spent, yeah. And look, we are expecting epic, of course, because I had thought that there would be at some point a blockbuster franchise of the same epic proportion, something along the lines of Wog Wars or Jurassic Wog or something like that, which hasn't been forthcoming. And I thought One Flew Over Effie's Nest was just all wrong.
That's so cute.
But look, it is fantastic you coming out to see us, and of course the whole virgin concept is still a little confusing, particularly with a daughter. How is Effie? While I think of it.
Well, it was an immaculate conception, as it's happened before. We all know that story. We've read the book, and it was ages ago. But these miracles are a bit like Halley's Comet. They don't happen regularly at all, but they do happen every now and again. And I was, the benefactor of such a miracle. I suspect it was either God's work or the public toilet seat I sat on by accident once. I'm not sure which one exactly, but nevertheless, the outcome was the same, and that is a stunning baby bull-fed daughter, Aphrodite, or Effie. So it's Effie and Effie, which is, it works on so many different levels. Let's not even get started on that. But she's my daughter, and she's my flower girl at the wedding as well. So she's a big part of the wedding day itself.
Oh, which will be wonderful, of course. And look, I must ask, there was an episode of Acropolis Now back in the day where there was a séance. I thought maybe, something had been put into that equation that had produced dear little Effie.
Look, a séance, many will tell you, is the devil's work.
It's not.
It's the nemesis of God, isn't it? And, like all young people, you like to dabble a little bit, and, we like to get scared. That's why people love horror movies, and that's why they like, find bed hair that, like amusing, is because we like to get scared. There's something about getting a fright that we all think is terribly exciting. And yes, I was a medium. Well, actually, I was a small in that episode of Acropolis Now. And I was trying to get in touch with Elvis because, there was talk about him being sighted here and there. Well, let's put that to rest. Let's find him on the other side and confirm that he is, in fact, passed over. But it was a very difficult moment, that séance, because I was speaking in tongues, which many would think I'm speaking in tongues right this minute because of my lack of grammatical, English. And I have my own way of expressing myself. But that was in the language no one could really decipher. And I did feel like it was my Linda Blair moment. My head didn't spin, but certainly there was some speaking in tongue type of vibe happening there, and I spooked myself so much I haven't done it since.
Which is a big call. I mean, I thought Uncle Vasily would be, the type of Beelzebub that would spook anybody, but clearly you've been used to him over the years.
Well, listen, he's my favourite uncle. He's made the big effort of flying out from Greece for this wedding. He insisted on the business class ticket, as most Greeks, pretty up themselves, and they're not afraid to ask the questions. And seeing as though my husband does adore me and he knows how much I love Uncle Vasily, we did, spoil him by bringing him out here in, top class, and that was good because, in Greece they're going through a hard time financially, so they're looking to take advantage of anyone that's got a bit of dough, which I totally understand.
So. Indeed, absolutely. And look, the fact is that I'm going to ask to speak to Mary, which probably won't sit with you very well, and it's probably a boring waste of time from your perspective, but please tell me how you feel about Mary.
Look, unless you're having trouble sleeping, I recommend you don't speak to her, seriously. She's the human mockadon. She will put, even insomniacs to sleep, very serious, very earnest, really thinks, oh my God, aren't I smart and dull at the same time, show off, in that sort of sophisticated but says who way. I wouldn't bother if I was you, but if you insist it's a free country, last time I checked.
Okay.
So if you want to do that to yourself. Well, she is in that sort of, smarmy sort of way. She's not as up herself as I am, for instance, and because I do things up front. I'm a front stabber. For instance, I don't do this back or act like this and do that sort of thing. I am what I am, and I say it up front. Mary, on the other case, she's gone to university. Whoopie-doo. I went to the Academy of Hairdressing. I've been to college as well, hairdressing college. But she, uses, I've been educated, I grew up in the middle class sort of stuff, as though, that makes her better than anyone else. Really, I'm the one that won the Logie. I don't know what all the fuss is about.
Exactly, precisely, and beautifully put. Effie, it's been such a privilege to speak with you. I won't take your time up any longer. You are gorgeous,
and I appreciate the addiction that you've had to all things E, and that have been me, and your commitment to trying to speak the Greek language, which is not an English, it's not an English language. It's a very difficult language. And your attempts to assimilate in that part of me, I really appreciate. And I love your guts, and I hope that I can make you laugh for 2 hours non-stop. So
you will indeed.
Come to my wedding, for crying out loud. Effie the Virgin Bride, it doesn't happen often.
Not often at all, not often enough. Thank you so much, Effie. Could we speak to Mary?